consistently write the female nouns, such as the door, la porte, in a different colour, then the children have got a different way of learning the language. If they're thinking about the word cahier, the word porte, they will think, and they will think in terms of the colour that they've seen it in. It appeals to different learning styles. Some children like the straightforward learning, la porte, le livre, etc. Some children prefer the assistance of having colour there. You can use this technique for a number of things, such as organic and inorganic chemicals, all sorts of things that you want to differentiate between. You can look even at simple sentence structures. So if I put a new page in, the nice thing about interactive whiteboards is you don't have to rub things out. You can just put new pages in. I can look at subjects and objects. So if I take the subject in red, so the boy, and then we can put a verb in. So if I put my verbs in black, the boy caught, and then the object, the ball. It is of course possible to move all of these around the page, so that very simply we can look at sentence structure. Every sentence needs a subject, verb and object. There are also clauses, but at its most basic, if you're learning a language, that's one of the things certainly that you would look at. Now, let's have a look at another new page. We've had a look at some basic things that I can do with colours, and let's have a look at the different sorts of pen. With my pen, I have a palette, and the palette can pick up a number of different coloured items. So for instance, if I was teaching very young ones and wanted to draw something very simple, I could do so. So for instance, a simple tree, very easy to draw. So I just pick up some colours. I can change my colour from my colour palette, and yet again, in common with all software, I have line width, so I can just pull up my line width and draw the children a tree. If I want to put apples on my tree, I've got all sorts of special effects here, and I can put apples in. I can even put in things like grass. So all sorts of things are possible. It's very easy to draw on an interactive whiteboard. And basically, children like looking at colours. They like looking at coloured diagrams at its most basic level with very young children. If you just write the sums that you want them to do or the questions that you want them to answer in a pretty colour, they think it's much easier to use. So for instance, if I wrote my question, 2 times 7 equals, that immediately becomes more interesting to a child than its typed equivalent. I'll put its typed equivalent up on the screen. And there's the typed equivalent. Let me just move that along, make it a bit bigger so they're at least the same size. And as I say, as adults we probably prefer looking at the nice, neat typed version. Most children, however, like looking at the more interesting version, the coloured version. It draws them in and it makes them want to use it. So there you have 2 or 3 applications of coloured pens. And this brings me to the next thing. I have now completed 6 pages of my whiteboard. I've got a page number in the top right-hand corner, and it tells me that I've used 6 pages. So where are these pages? Well, here we have a page list. And as you can see, everything that I have written has been saved. Now, I don't know how many times this has happened to you, but certainly to me as a teacher and a teacher of maths, the number of times that I've been writing on the board, I've turned around to the class and said, "Do you understand that?" They've all nodded, perfectly happy. Yes, they understand everything on the whiteboard. This is an ordinary whiteboard, not an interactive one. I've then rubbed it out, started on the next piece, and a little hand will go up and say, "Where did you get that X from?" I'm a maths teacher, and I know with historians it's, "Who was that?" pointing at the name on the board. At which point you have the choice of either showing them another child's work with the work copied in, or starting again, rubbing it out, and explaining. And there's also that wonderful moment in a teacher's life when you produce a board which has got the perfect diagram on it. You produce something and you think, this is perfect. And you know that at the end of the lesson, you're going to have to rub it out, because if you don't, the cleaner certainly will come in and do so. That moment you can also be spared with an interactive whiteboard, because if I look at what I've got here, everything that I've written for you is sitting here. I can show it to you. So for instance, if I want to go back to my page of subjects and objects, all I have to do is show it. Let me take these two out of the way so you can see it more easily. So there's my page. If I want to go forward a page, I can just hit the next button. If I want to go back a page, I can just hit the previous button. So everything that I've done is here and recorded. It also, of course, means that if somebody comes in late, you can very easily pick up from the start of the lesson. Or if I look at my page list again, as you can see at the bottom of the page list, there are the words save and print. So it means that I can save my flip chart and reuse it. So if I get to the end of the lesson and I want to start the next lesson where I had finished the previous one, then very simply, having saved the flip chart, I can open it again. As simple as opening any other file. And so much more convenient. I mean, how many times have you finished a lesson mid-sentence and started the next lesson by having to resurrect at least one of the boards that you've rubbed out in the previous lesson? This stops all that. You've got your lesson there, you can bring it up in front of the class, they will remember it, and they will respond to this. Also, if a pupil is away, saving it, with this particular software, it will save in a number of formats, which I think every other software does as well. So if I export it to a file, as you can see here, I can save it as HTML, a PDF, or a PowerPoint. It won't have its interactivity, but the pupil at least will be able to see what's going on. Obviously, as it's savable as HTML, I can upload it to the internet perfectly happily. Printouts, similarly, if you want to print out something for a pupil, you can print it out. Also, if there's a page that you want to get rid of, I have a blank page at the beginning I'd like to delete, just hit the dustbin and it will go. Also, the pages can be rearranged as easily as you can with PowerPoint. So if I wanted to move page 3 behind page 2, I can do it. So, hugely versatile, and whiteboards I think are worth their weight in gold for this property alone. The number of times when I was teaching that I would have loved to have been able to produce the work from the previous lesson, just to say, okay, we got to here with calculus, let's start from here, let's just revise what we did last lesson very quickly and just go through the screens. I mean, my personal opinion is that if whiteboards did nothing more than this, they would be worth having. But of course they do a great deal more. So let me take out this screen and let me put in a fresh sheet of paper, so new page, and let me show you what else it will do. I have a number of pens here. On this toolbar you can see both an ordinary pen and something called an IntelliPen. In other softwares it's called things like a shaped pen. But if I pick that up, and let me just pick up a black pen for a minute, this in fact will draw perfect shapes for you. So for instance, if you wanted to draw a table, I draw a wiggly line, it makes it into a perfect straight line. So let's say I wanted 3 columns, let's say I was doing subject, verbs and objects. Very easily, I can draw a perfect looking table. I'll put in another page and show you what else it will do. This same pen will draw me beautiful triangles, perfect circles and ellipses. It will draw me rectangles. It will draw me, even for the very young at Christmas, it will even draw fancy stars for you. And of course, using my select key, I can resize, I can rotate. So if I want lots of small Christmas stars, I can do that, and of course I can copy and paste. And similarly, the other nice thing it does, it is cross out. So if I just take my intelligent pen and just make a cross in the middle of the shape will vanish. I can press undo and bring it back again should I want to. It also does arrows, and it will do things like pentagons. It will recognize shapes up to 6-sided only. After that, the angle becomes so large that it's difficult to tell the difference between a badly drawn octagon and a badly drawn ellipse or circle. So we have all these lovely shapes that we can use. So very easily in a lesson, if I want to draw a set of axes for mathematics or a table for English